Up next, I want to discuss infrastructure as code, or IaC, as it's often short formed. So sometimes this is called configuration as code, but what it boils down to is it means using scripts or configuration files to create, deploy, and configure your infrastructure auto-magically. Using infrastructure as code is a key part of DevOps. It's one of the many processes that they do to ensure that they're really, really efficient and that what they're doing gets them fast feedback. Generally, infrastructure as code is only used in the cloud, so from a public cloud vendor, and it's not usually used on-prem. And by that I mean in your own data center, but you could if you really wanted to. The infrastructure in infrastructure as code is considered immutable. So we discussed this briefly before. What immutable infrastructure means is we never patch it or adjust it or change it in production unless there's a real serious emergency. What we do is we make a better image that is patched or secured or has whatever adjustment we need. We run that through our DevOps pipeline. It does all the tests and checks it should, and then it replaces what is there. So just to repeat, we don't patch what's in production. We make a new version that has all the security things and everything else that we need. We run it through all of our automated tests for quality, security, and so much more. And then we replace what is in prod. We just swap it right out and the other one just goes right into the garbage. This means we could do a really fast rollback if we needed to the previous version. And it also means that patches don't get accidentally not applied properly or partially applied. We don't accidentally corrupt anything because we've done all these tests. It also helps us avoid people being stressed and making a change in prod and then accidentally breaking more things because so much pressure was put on them. If we run it through our DevOps pipeline and we have lots of tests that we trust that it goes up against first, we're much, much less likely to introduce a giant problem into prod when we are under the stress of an incident or some other type of emergency. This means less risk. Yes. So how do we secure infrastructure as code? The key steps for securing infrastructure as code is, first of all, scan it for vulnerabilities. It's code. You can scan it. You should do that. Scan for poor configuration choices. Most cloud providers have their own infrastructure as code versions, and then there are tools you can use to actually scan the infrastructure as code that you make to ensure that the best security configurations are chosen. Another thing you can do is you can add your own code. Yes, that's right, AppSec team. You can write code. So you can actually add security code to add the configurations that you want for security best practices. Yes. Another thing you need to do is you need to treat this code in the way, like you need to protect it the same way that you would protect any of your code. So it needs to be managed and protected like your applications. This means going into your code repository with version control. It means that the version control must be backed up and stored and protected in all the ways all of your apps are. I know that you might be thinking, of course, there are a lot of places where they whip up some scripts for infrastructure as code and then they don't save them, or they don't have version control on them. And then they push something out to prod and they're like, wait, does anyone have a copy of the thing from last week? Also, when you are checking in these changes, you should be saying in your changes why you're making the fixes. It might be, Jira ticket this, bug tracker ticket that, fixing this bug, applying patch Tuesday, this number, whatever the thing is that you're doing, and then it's automatically documenting itself. And again, from a security perspective, this is awesome. The last thing I want to mention to do infrastructure as code properly is that changes to prod must only be done using the infrastructure as code unless it is literally a huge emergency. So again, immutable infrastructure. All right, let's go on to the next topic, security as code.